The vast emptiness of space felt different near the edge of known stars. The ship Odyssey cut through it, a sturdy metal thing built for survival, not beauty. Inside, the air tasted recycled, smelling faintly of machine oil and human effort. Commander Laura Holt stood on the command deck, her eyes fixed on the main screen. The stars outside looked sharp, unwelcoming. Earth was generations behind them now, a place remembered only in stories of hardship and struggle. "Anything?" Laura asked, her voice calm but firm. She was a woman used to making hard choices, her face showing lines from worry and responsibility. Maya Flores, the communication expert, shook her head. Her fingers danced over her console. "Nothing yet, Commander. Just the usual background hum. It's ... quiet. Too quiet." Dr. Ben Carter leaned over a different screen, showing complex readings. He was the ship's science chief, a man whose eyes always held a spark of curiosity, even now. "According to every map we have from the old colony probes, this sector should be empty. But the energy signatures we detected weeks ago, they pointed here. Something is out there." Sergeant Greg Vance shifted his weight nearby. He was the head of the ship's small group of soldiers, a man built like a rock. His hand rested near his weapon, a habit. "Empty is good, Doc. Means no surprises. After Earth, surprises are usually bad." Laura understood Vance's caution. Their Earth was a hard place, a world that had fought back fiercely against humans before finally offering a chance to rebuild. Those who survived, like the Odyssey's crew and their ancestors, were tough. They called Earth a death world in the old galactic whispers, a place too dangerous for most life. Laura wondered if anyone else remembered those whispers. Suddenly Maya gasped. "It, Commander, massive energy surge. Multiple sources, peering directly ahead." The main screen flickered. Stars vanished, replaced by a view that made Ben Carter suck in his breath. 3 ships hung silently in space. They were unlike anything built on Earth. Sleek, graceful curves of gleaming white and silver metal. They looked powerful but strangely peaceful. No visible weapons, no rough edges. Just perfection. "Are they ... human?" Laura whispered, disbelief coloring her voice. The view zoomed in. Ships' designs were alien, yet the figures moving on their bridges, visible through large viewports, were unmistakably human, men and women. But they were flawless. Skins smooth and unblemished, features sharp and symmetrical, expressions serene and untroubled. They wore simple, elegant clothes that flowed like liquid. A signal flashed on Maya's console. "Incoming transmission, Commander. Audio and visual." "Put it through," Laura ordered. The main screen split. The image of a woman appeared. She was stunningly beautiful, her face ageless and calm. Her dark hair was perfectly arranged. She wore a simple silver band around her head. Her eyes, a deep, unsettling blue, looked directly at Laura. "Greetings, travelers," the woman said, her voice smooth and melodic, like a gentle stream. "We welcome you. I am Alina. We are the perfected Dominion. We have long awaited the children of Sol. Your journey must have been difficult. Please follow our guides. We will bring you to Elysium Prime." She smiled, a perfect curve of lips that didn't quite reach her eyes. Ben Carter was practically vibrating with excitement. "Perfected Dominion? Descendants of the first colonies? Commander? This is incredible. They survived. They thrived." Laura felt a wave of relief, mixed with profound awe. Humans. Advanced. Successful humans. After centuries of silence, of being forgotten or written off, humanity had not just survived, but flourished out here. "We accept your guidance, Alina," Laura replied, trying to match the other woman's calm. "We are grateful for your welcome." As the Odyssey moved to follow the graceful lead ships, Vance grunted. His eyes scanned the Dominion vessels on the tactical display. Pretty ships. Pretty people. Too pretty. Where are the guns? The shields, everyone has defenses. Why don't they show any? Laura glanced at him. "Maybe they don't need them anymore, Sergeant. Maybe they found peace." Vance just shook his head slowly, his hand still near his weapon. "Peace ain't free, Commander. Someone always pays." Far away, unseen by the Odyssey or the Dominion ships other eyes watched, strange eyes belonging to beings from different worlds observing through long-range sensors. They had monitored the signals, the arrival of the ship from the dreaded Sol system. They had braced for monsters. For the legendary Deathworlders, whose home planet was a nightmare of predators and disasters, their confusion was immense. The beings watched the sleek Dominion ships escorting the blocky Earth vessel. They saw the perfect humans of the Dominion, radiating calm and order. They saw the worn but hopeful faces of the Odyssey's crew on intercepted transmissions. A quiet signal pulsed between the distant watchers. The meaning was clear, tinged with profound bewilderment. These were the Deathworlders. These calm, perfect beings. They seemed harmless, improved, perfected. The legend of Sol's terror seemed suddenly like a foolish myth. The galaxy relaxed, unaware that the true nature of the Deathworlders was only just beginning to stir. The arrival wasn't the end of the story. It was the first step into a much darker truth. The Dominion ships guided the Odyssey towards Elysium Prime. The planet grew larger on the view screen. A jewel of blues and greens and swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful, perfect. No scars, no signs of struggle, just beauty. Landing was smooth. The Odyssey, with its worn metal and rough edges, settled onto a landing pad that seemed carved from pearl. Outside, the air was warm and smelled faintly sweet like flowers. The light was gentle. Everything felt clean and quiet. Commander Holt, Dr. Carter, Sergeant Vance, Maya Flores, and young technician Liam Park stepped out. They were met by a small group of Dominion people. Men and women, all young-looking, all impossibly perfect. Their skin glowed, their movements were graceful and exact. They smiled politely, but their eyes were calm, like still water. There was no excitement, no curiosity about the newcomers from Earth. Just quiet welcome. "Welcome to Elysium Prime," said one of the men, his voice as smooth as Elena's had been. "We will show you our home." The city was breathtaking. Towers of shining glass reached towards the sky. Parks filled with strange, beautiful plants spread out below them. Clean, silent vehicles glided along wide streets. People walked calmly, dressed in simple, flowing clothes. There was no dirt, no noise, no hurry. Everything was ordered. Everything was beautiful. Dr. Carter was fascinated. Look at the architecture. The energy efficiency readings are off the charts. And the people, their genetic markers must be incredibly stable. He kept scanning everything with his handheld device. Maya Flores watched the Dominion people carefully. She noticed something odd. "Commander," she whispered to Holt, their conversations. "Listen." The Dominion people spoke softly, politely, but their words were simple. They talked about the weather, about tasks, about the beauty around them. There was no laughter, no arguments, no deep discussions. No one seemed to have strong opinions. It was like listening to a gentle, boring song. Sergeant Vance stayed alert. His eyes scanned the buildings, the people, the open spaces. "To clean," he muttered to Liam. "No kids playing rough. No old folks sitting and talking stories. Everyone looks the same. Like copies." He noticed something else missing. No guards, no police, no cameras even. How do they keep it so perfect? Liam Park, curious and good with machines, looked at the buildings differently. He saw the beautiful surfaces, but he also saw seams, vents, access points. His tech scanner picked up low-energy hums coming from beneath the streets and buildings. It's like the pretty stuff is just a cover, he thought. The real work is hidden down below. Their guides led them to a large, dome-shaped building. Inside was a vast garden, filled with exotic plants under a clear ceiling. "This is a place of peace and reflection," explained one of the perfect women. While the others walked slowly through the garden, Liam spotted a small, almost hidden door in the wall. It looked like a service entrance, plain metal, unlike the beautiful surroundings. His curiosity got the better of him. He glanced around. The guides were focused on Holt and Carter. Vance was watching the exits. Maya was quietly tapping her wrist computer, probably scanning signals. Liam slipped away. He tried the door. It wasn't locked. He stepped into a dimly lit corridor. It was clean but plain and functional. The air here smelled different, sterile, like a hospital. mixed with something else. ... Something faintly sour. The gentle hum he'd sensed outside was louder here, a deep vibration through the floor. He followed the corridor down a ramp. It got colder. He heard the steady thrum of powerful machines. He peeked around a corner into a large, brightly lit room. What he saw made his blood run cold. This wasn't a garden level. It was a factory, but not for machines. Long rows of giant clear tubes stood like silent soldiers. Inside each tube was a thick, pale green liquid. And floating in the liquid were people, men and women. But they didn't look perfect like the ones upstairs. They looked thin, pale. Their eyes were closed. Tubes were connected to their arms and heads. They weren't moving. They just hung there, suspended in the glowing liquid. Workers moved among the tubes. These workers weren't perfect either. They wore plain gray suits. Faces were blank, their movements stiff and precise like robots. They checked readings on the tubes, but they didn't look at the people inside. They just ... worked. Liam felt sick. This was the hidden heart of the beautiful city. What was happening to these people? Who were they? A soft worry sound made him jump. A small round drone, like a metal eye, floated down the corridor towards him. It hadn't seen him yet, but it was coming his way. Panic shot through Liam. He had to get back. He had to tell the commander. Turned and ran, his boots echoing too loudly on the metal floor. Behind him, the drone's worry sound grew sharper, faster. It had heard him. It was hunting. He raced back towards the garden door. The image of those pale faces floating in the green liquid burned into his mind. Paradise had a terrible secret, and he had just seen it. Liam Park sat hunched in a small storage room deep inside the Odyssey, his face pale. Commander Laura Holt, Sergeant Greg Vance, Dr. Ben Carter, and Maya Flores crowded around him. The air felt thick and heavy. It was people, Liam whispered, his voice shaking. In tanks. Like ... like machines plugged in. And the workers. They weren't right. Empty. Like shells. Ben Carter looked sick. Suspended animation? Bioenergy harvesting? A technology is ... monstrous? Greg Vance slammed a fist softly against the wall. Told you. Too perfect. Always a cost. They're using people. Their own kind. Laura felt cold anger replace her earlier. Oh, we need proof, Maya. Liam, use what he saw. Find out what they're hiding. Access points, energy signatures, ... anything. Maya nodded, her fingers already flying over a portable console. Liam, describe the symbols you saw near the tanks. Anything helps. Over the next tense hours, the pieces came together. Maya, using Liam's descriptions and her own skills, found a weak point in the Dominion's vast network. She sliced into a low-level data stream. Its files appeared, heavily coded but partly readable. Look at this, Maya breathed, pointing at her screen. Fragmented words flashed. Optimal yield. Neural matrix harvest cycle. Baseline resource units ... Feedstock stabilization ... Ben Carter stared at the words, then at the scans he'd taken earlier of the perfect citizens and the strange plants. His face lost all color. It's not just energy, he said, his voice hollow. It's them. The people in the tanks, they're being ... consumed. Their life force. Their minds processed. That's how the Dominion stays perfect. That's how they live so long, look so flawless. They're feeding on others. A terrible silence fell. Laura thought of the calm faces above ground. The beauty of the city was built on a nightmare. Feedstock, she said, the word tasting like poison. They call people feedstock. Greg Vance checked his weapon. We need to get out of here, now, before they decide we look tasty. Suddenly, the lights on the Odyssey flickered and died. Emergency lights snapped on, casting long shadows. The gentle hum of the ship's engine stopped. Silence pressed in. Report. Laura barked into her cum. Maya frantically worked her console. Total systems failure. External source. Some kind of energy pulse. You're dead in the water. Alarms blared outside the ship. Harsh, unfamiliar lights flooded the landing area. The main hatch groaned as external mechanisms locked onto it. Intruder alert. Security breach detected. A calm, electronic voice echoed through the ship's corridors. It wasn't the Dominion's usual gentle tone. Laura drew her sidearm. Vance, secure the bridge. Maya, Liam, try to get auxiliary power. Ben, with me. They moved towards the main hatch. Too late. The hatch hissed open with a force not their own. Tall figures in sleek gray armor stood there. Their faces were hidden behind smooth helmets. They held strange glowing rods. Behind them stood Director Marcus, Queen Elena's cold helper. His expression was blank, utterly calm. Commander Holt, Marcus said, his voice flat. Your intrusion is noted. Your journey ends here. Please surrender your weapons. Resistance is inefficient. Greg Vance didn't hesitate. He fired his rifle. The energy bolt struck the lead-armored figure in the chest. It sparked, but the figure barely stumbled. It raised its glowing rod. A beam of light shot out, hitting Vance. He cried out, stiffened, and collapsed, muscles locked. Laura fired, but it was useless. More beams lanced out. Maya screamed, falling beside her console. Liam tried to scramble away, but a beam caught him in the back. He dropped. Ben Carter raised his hands, his eyes wide with horror as soldiers grabbed him. Laura fought, but strong hands seized her arms, wrenching her weapon away. She stared into Marcus's emotionless eyes. You don't understand, Marcus stated. You are not prisoners. You are resources, your unique biology, forged on the Origin Death world. Queen Elena finds it fascinating. You will contribute to a new level of perfection for the Dominion. The soldiers dragged the stunned crew away. The Odyssey sat dark and powerless. Above them, the perfect city of Elysium Prime shone under its artificial sun, beautiful and utterly unaware of the horror beneath its clean white streets. The cost of perfection had just claimed new victims. Cold metal pressed against Laura Holt's face. The air smelled sharp, like chemicals and something worse. A faint, sweet decay. She opened her eyes. Dim, blue-tinted light revealed a small cell. Thick glass walls separated her from Greg Vance, Ben Carter, Liam Park, and Maya Flores in similar cells. Beyond the glass lay a vast chamber filled with row upon row of large, glowing tubes. Inside each tube floated a person. Men and women, as pale still, eyes closed. Thin tubes snaked into their arms, necks, and heads. Machines beside each tube pulsed with soft lights, pumping liquids in and out. A low, constant hum filled the air, vibrating through the floor. Ben Carter stared out, his face ashen. The processing level, he whispered. This is where they... drain them. Greg Vance slammed his fist against the glass. Let me out! Face me properly, you cowards! His shout echoed strangely, swallowed by the hum. Then it hit them. Not a sound, not a sight, feeling. It washed over Laura like icy water, then sank deep into her bones. A crushing weight of despair. 1,000 silent screams. Images flickered at the edge of her mind. Terror, pain, helplessness. It was the suffering of the people in the tubes, leaking out, filling the room. Laura gasped, staggering back. Maya cried out, clutching her head. Ben leaned against the wall, looking sick. Liam curled into a ball. Only Vance stood straight, teeth gritted, fists clenched. They're screaming, he growled. Inside their heads, can you feel it? The psychic agony pressed down. It was meant to break minds, to make people submit. But something else happened. The sheer raw horror of it didn't crush the Earth's crew. It ignited a spark deep inside them. A spark forged on a ruined Earth where giving up meant death. Laura felt the cold metal floor beneath her hands. She remembered the biting winds of Earth's frozen wastes, the desperate fights for food. She pushed herself up, her jaw set. Focus, she hissed to the others. Push it back. Use the anger. Use the will to live. The Dominion guards who brought them food moved with smooth, efficient steps. Their faces were calm masks, untouched by the psychic storm around them. When a guard slid open Laura's cell door to place a tray inside, Laura didn't hesitate. Years of surviving ambushes and predators kicked in. She moved like lightning, grabbing the guard's wrist and twisting hard. The guard gasped, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, an expression Laura hadn't seen before. She slammed his head against the doorframe, crumpled. Vance roared approval. That's it, Commander, Earth style. The guard had tools on his belt. Maya spotted a small data spike. Liam, get that. Hurry. Liam snatched the spike from the fallen guard's belt as Vance and Laura dragged the unconscious body into Laura's cell. Maya pressed against the glass. Jam it into the control panel near my door. Bottom right port. Liam fumbled, the psychic pressure making his hands shake. He jammed the spike in. Sparks flew. Maya's cell door hissed open. She scrambled out, grabbing the guard's weapon. A glowing rod. She pointed it at the control panel for the other cells. Cover your eyes, a blast of energy shorted the panel. Laura, Ben, and Liam's doors snapped open. Vance practically exploded out of his cell. Ben, Laura ordered, grabbing the fallen guard's other weapon. How do we hurt these perfect freaks? Ben pointed shakily at the glowing rods. Their tech disrupts nerves, but overloaded. Hit the power couplings on their armor, near the shoulders. And their tolerance, it's low. Real pain, real injury. They won't handle it like we do. Vance grinned, a fierce, ugly thing. Hear that? They're soft underneath. He saw 2 more guards running down the aisle between the biotanks. Vance didn't wait. He charged, roaring. He dodged the first blast from their rods, ducked low, and tackled one guard around the knees. They crashed to the floor. Vance punched hard and brutal, aiming for the faceplate. It cracked. The guard screamed, a raw, human sound of pain and shock. Laura fired her stolen rod at the second guard's shoulder coupling. It sparked violently. The guard convulsed and dropped. Maya used her rod to blast the locks off other cells holding conscious prisoners. Run, she yelled. Go, cause chaos. The perfect silence of the processing level shattered. Alarms wailed. Flashing red lights joined the blue. Freed prisoners, confused and terrified, ran in different directions. Dominion guards tried to restore order, but the Earth's crew fought like cornered animals. Liam used his small tools to short-circuit nearby machinery, causing showers of sparks. Maya hacked a console, opening bulkhead doors randomly. Vance fought with savage efficiency, using pipes wrenched from walls as clubs. Breaking limbs with terrifying strength honed on Earth. Laura moved like a shadow, using the chaos. Her stolen rod disabling guards with precise shots to their weak points. They weren't graceful. They weren't perfect. They were desperate, wounded, fueled by fury and the crushing will to survive their own death world. And against the Dominion's cold efficiency, that raw, ugly desperation was winning. They fought their way towards a sign Liam spotted. Docking access, upper levels. The nightmare wasn't over, but they were moving. Fire alarms screamed. Smoke choked the clean white corridors of Elysium Prime. The Odyssey crew ran, dragging freed prisoners with them. Sergeant Greg Vance led the way, his face bloody, his stolen Dominion weapons sparking in his hand. He smashed aside anyone blocking their path. His strength, built on Earth's harsh lands, broke the perfect guards like dry sticks. Up, Vance roared, pointing to a sign Liam had spotted earlier. Docking access. They charged up a wide ramp. The beautiful silver docking bay lay ahead. The Odyssey sat there, dark and silent. Liam, Maya, get her breathing, Commander Laura Holt yelled, covering their backs with her weapon. She fired short bursts at the sleek gray-armored guards pouring into the bay. Each shot aimed for the shoulder joints Ben Carter had identified. Guards screamed and fell, unused to real pain. Liam Park and Maya Flores sprinted to the ship's main hatch. Maya jammed her data spike into an external port. Come on, baby, wake up, she muttered. Liam scrambled up the landing gear, ripping open an access panel. Sparks flew as he crossed wires deep inside the ship's guts. A low groan came from the Odyssey. Lights flickered weakly on its hull. Suddenly, the air changed. It grew cold and heavy. A wave of pure, icy calm washed over the chaos. The fighting guards froze. The freed prisoners whimpered and crouched low. Laura felt a terrible pressure inside her skull, like cold fingers squeezing her thoughts. She turned. Queen Elena stood at the top of the ramp. She wore a simple white robe. Her face was serene, but her deep blue eyes burned with cold fury. She didn't need guards. The sheer force of her mind was a weapon. A psychic storm from the processing level below, the suffering of thousands, seemed to gather around her, focused into a crushing wave aimed at the Earth's crew. "You are flawed, disruptive." Elena's voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the alarms like a knife. "Your existence is chaos. You will be harmonized." The mental pressure intensified. Ben Carter cried out, clutching his head. Maya gasped, her hand slipping from the console. Liam froze halfway inside the access panel. Vance snarled, muscles straining against the invisible force. But even he staggered. Laura Holt felt the cold fear, the despair. She remembered Earth's endless winter, the gnawing hunger, the fight just to see another sunrise. That memory burned hotter than Elena's cold control. "No," Laura roared, the word ripped from her gut. "We fight. We survive." She pushed back, not with calm, but with raw, furious willpower. The fire of Earth roared inside her. Vance felt it too. It's the memory of breaking rocks in frozen ground, of hunting dangerous beasts. He roared again, a wordless sound of defiance. He took a step towards Elena, then another, fighting the mental tide like it was thick mud. Elena's perfect brow furrowed slightly, a flicker of surprise. The Deathworlders weren't breaking. Their minds, forged in hardship, resisted her stolen power. "You are nothing," she stated, raising a hand. The pressure became physical, trying to crush them. Vance saw a heavy support strut hanging loose from the ceiling, shaken by explosions. He didn't think. He lunged sideways, grabbed a discarded guard's rod, and threw it like a spear. It wasn't aimed at Elena. It smashed into the strut's weakened mount. With a shriek of tearing metal, the huge strut plummeted down. Lena looked up, her calm finally shattering into shock. It crashed onto her raised arm and shoulder. A sickening crunch echoed. She screamed, a raw, human sound of agony, collapsing to the pristine floor. The crushing mental pressure vanished instantly. The frozen guards looked confused, lost without her command. "Now," Laura screamed. Maya slammed her fist on the console. The Odyssey's main hatch hissed open. Liam dropped down. Auxiliary power. Engines primed. Go, go, go. They scrambled aboard, dragging the last prisoners. Vance was the last, firing a final burst at the recovering guards before leaping inside. The hatch sealed. Inside the dimly lit ship, alarms blared different warnings. "Punch it, Maya. Anywhere but here," Laura ordered, strapping into the command chair. The Odyssey's engines coughed, then roared to life. The battered ship lifted unsteadily, scraping against the beautiful Silver Bay walls. It shot out into space, leaving the perfect, burning city behind. Far away, sensors watched. They saw the damaged Earth ship escape the mighty Dominion. They saw the chaos erupting on Elysium Prime. They heard the fragmented transmissions, the screams, the proof of the Dominion's hidden horror. The question that had hung in the void was answered. Who came from the Death World? Not the perfect hunters. It was the survivors, the ones who endured the fire. The true Deathworlders advanced, battered but unbroken. The galaxy finally understood. The monsters from Sol weren't the ones wearing crowns of stolen peace. They were the ones who fought back. And they were free.